Hey everybody, meteorologist Mike Slifer here in the First Alert Forecast Center, bringing you another First Alert Weather Extra, and our big focus is certainly Friday, which is a First Alert weather day. We've been giving you the First Alert to at least the chance for showers on Friday since last Friday, so by the time this event rolls around, almost a week. Let's talk a little bit about what we're expecting here. So starting early Friday, we will see heavy rain, strong wind gusts. We're talking gusts up and over 40 miles per hour. As the day progresses, we'll see a bit of a lull in the middle of the day. The showers themselves wind down a bit. And we'll also see perhaps the wind become briefly calmer. Emphasis on briefly. So that seems to be pretty short-lived because as we get into the evening hours behind the front, as low pressure departs, we will see the wind pick up on the backside of this storm system. So at first, the wind is out of the south, gusting up to 40, perhaps even as high as 50 miles per hour, and then it's out of the northwest. So here's what we're expecting on First Alert Futurecast. Note the high pressure offshore. That is, it exits Thursday morning, but it's a little bit slow on its exit, which keeps the pressure gradient. So in other words, the space between that low pressure and high pressure, it's rather small. So it keeps the pressure gradient up, which enhances our wind potential. By 11 p.m. Thursday, we will be tracking the first rain showers, so about 48 hours from right now. And those showers continue into Friday morning. In fact, they will pick up in intensity. Something that's new to the forecast as of yesterday, as of this morning really, since yesterday. We can't rule out some isolated rumbles of thunder out there on Friday as this front swings through. So could be a bit loud, and it will certainly be very wet. Rain is going to be quite heavy as it comes down Friday morning. But there's the improvement later in the day. Can't rule out a flurry on the backside of this either. So certainly some whiplash when it comes to temperatures, especially from Friday morning until Friday night. So could be one of those days on Friday where we see our highest temperatures happen early on and they'll actually drop as the day goes on. Wind gusts about 40 to 50 miles per hour at their peak. A little bit stronger to our east. This time of year, it's sometimes tough to mix down some of those wind gusts in the higher part of the atmosphere, but we do think that to our east, given the milder ocean temperatures and the fact that, you know, a lot of these places are ocean facing, that will increase the likelihood or the chances of actually seeing gusts up to or over 50 miles per hour. So that does not really include Connecticut. It's going to be an issue for areas to the east of I-95. So that'll be for parts of Rhode Island up through Newport and to, say, Fall River, Massachusetts, and then out through the South Shore of Massachusetts, the Cape, and certainly the islands too, Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard. So when it comes to an impact perspective, we're mostly concerned about the travel impacts from the heavy rain, and the strong wind gusts could bring some isolated outages. Even with the rainfall, we're still thinking flooding is not really too much of a concern here. And then when it comes to snow, well, there's really no chance for that. So something else that's new as of yesterday is that rainfall amounts are coming in just a little bit higher, maybe an inch, up to an inch and a half at most. So a slight increase yesterday. We were around that inch mark everywhere. Now it's more like an inch or an inch and a quarter. But again, even with this snow pack that's on the ground, a little bit of snow that we have combined with this rain, we are not expecting any flooding issues across Connecticut. In fact, we're actually running a little bit drier than normal month to date. So we've reached the halfway point of the month. We are running certainly colder than normal by 8.5 degrees. Pretty impressive statistic right there. Been a while since we had such a cold December, especially a cold start to December. And it looks like there could be more colder air, relatively speaking, behind this brief warm spell that we have. A little milder the next few days, peaking on Friday. But Saturday, it's back to days in the 30s and nights in the 20s, or maybe even the teens. We started the day off today in the teens. Temperatures last night about 10 to 15 or so inland, 20 to 25 along the shoreline. New Haven was the outlier at 28 degrees. The difference between this morning and yesterday morning, the lack of wind. A calmer wind really makes it feel that much better outside. Temperatures have essentially held steady along the shoreline over the last several hours. Inland towns have fallen a little bit, but we are up compared to where we were yesterday at this point in time, and we'll see that difference grow as the night goes on. In fact, we could see temperatures climb later on tonight. We'll show you that in just a moment. Did briefly want to talk about the wind here. It's less about the speed and more about the direction. A southwesterly wind indicating that milder air is moving in. So we do expect things to be a little bit warmer, relatively speaking, tonight. Take a look at the temperature trend here for the remainder of the night. Bottoming out 25 midnight and then starting to tick upwards as we get closer to the start of the day tomorrow. So just something to keep in mind there. Maybe not as cold as it's been when you step out the door. We'll take you to our iCam view here in Mystic right now. Still a bit of a wintry scene with some snow on the ground. How about a look high above Hartford, where we also still have snow on the ground? And the snowpack that we have right now is certainly not anything all that impressive, but it was the first measurable snow for most of Connecticut that we saw over the weekend. Here's our iCam view right now in New Haven. Great visibility out there. Wind out of the west-southwest at 6 miles per hour. We're looking out over toward the Pearl Harbor Memorial Bridge and where the Quinnipiac River runs into the Sound. We'll take you to Torrington next, and we certainly see a lot of snow on the ground in northwestern Connecticut, which this was not the first time that we saw snow on the ground in that part of the state. Now, over the last 6 hours, we've been battling some cloudiness. Not a huge deal. We'll say a partly cloudy sky sticks around for most of the night. As you step out the door tomorrow, send your kids out to the bus stop. We're still recommending all the layers because even though temperatures will be seasonable for this time of year in the 20s, it's still going to be in the 20s. So you need to just make sure you're dressed appropriately. And we'll start to see a little bit of a breeze develop tomorrow too. Here is a look at our planner for school tomorrow. Bus ride to school, certainly cold. But by the ride home, a little bit of sunshine out there. And temperatures back up in the mid-40s. Not too bad. A few degrees above where we typically would be this time of year. But we'll be battling a bit in the way of a breeze. Wind gusts up to, say, 20 miles an hour or so tomorrow afternoon. Not a huge deal, just making it feel a little bit cooler out than it actually is. But with some sunshine out there, temperatures in the mid-40s, one of the warmest days we've seen over the last several, it is going to actually feel pretty nice. Now, Thursday, we are breezy, and then rain returns at night. Clouds will be thickening up as the day goes on, but the heaviest rain is Friday morning. 53 degrees out there on Friday. That could be record challenging. You'll note overnight temperatures, really nothing to write home about, so we'll show you the shoreline temperatures here too. Mid-40s tomorrow, upper 40s Thursday, 55 on Friday. Now, Saturday, we're back in the mid and upper 30s. We're breezy, but bright. An isolated shower can't be ruled out Sunday, but it's actually been trending a bit drier. Temps in the mid-40s. Breezy Monday, showers possible Tuesday next week. And the question, of course, is, are those rain or are those snow showers? At this point in time, could be either. So we'll continue, of course, to monitor. We did want to show you the records for Friday. 54 is the record high for the Hartford area. 53 is our forecast. Bridgeport's record is 57. We are forecasting 55. So at this point in time, we're not officially forecasting record warmth, but it is going to be close. And again, as you just saw in the First Alert 7-day, this is sort of a blip because after this, temperatures are back to seasonable or seasonably mild levels. Certainly not the bitter cold we've been dealing with, but closer to where we might typically be this time of year. And today's actually a pretty important day in that. We'll tell you why in just a moment. So when it comes to snowfall, normal amount in December, 10.1 inches. We, in order to get there, would need to get 6 more inches before the month is over, which is possible. We have more than 2 weeks left in December. Long-term outlooks maybe not quite as favorable for that, but we'll show you more on that in just a moment. When it comes to January and February, typically those are our snowiest months, not much of a surprise. And you may not have realized this, but March actually averages 9.4 inches of snow in the month. That's not that much less than a typical December. So it is certainly, there is rather still certainly plenty of time to go in the winter season. We will see how things treat us moving forward. But let's talk about some of those normal high temperatures. Today, December 16th, is when our normal high for the Hartford area dips to 40 degrees. We came in below that today, but tomorrow we'll be above it. We'll be above it on Thursday, and we'll be well above it on Friday, unseasonably warm Friday. As time moves forward, by the end of the month, normal high is 37, and then it bottoms out 35 degrees is our coldest normal high. January 9th through the 30th. So the middle of January basically is typically the coldest point in the year. By the end of January, the normal high temperature actually begins to climb. And by the end of February, the normal high temperature is back in the lower 40s. So, whether the pattern is going to favor things to be near normal or not is to be seen, especially as we get later into winter. But generally speaking, we can expect plenty more cold as we get really into the heart of meteorological winter here. So we did want to mention briefly on the 8 to 14 day outlooks here, the temperature trend favors things to be running near normal. This would be from the 24th through the 30th. So it gets us almost to the end of December. We'll have to keep a closer eye on how things evolve, because even though these longer term outlooks are helpful for just how the pattern is setting up, the devil's always in the details. So again, more info as we get a bit closer. The rainfall outlook really not showing anything all that notable either. So no big signal either way, whether it's going to be warm or it's going to be cold, if it's going to be wet, if it's going to be dry. We'll continue to monitor, of course. But a reminder, like we just talked about, the normal highs falling 37 by the 1st of January. And then by February 1st, 36. But look at that, February 15th, 2 months from now. Normal high is 38 degrees. So we start that climb back up as we eventually get into spring and summer. One final check here of the First Alert 7-day forecast and our First Alert Weather Extra. We do want to remind you to download the free First Alert Weather app. You can track any alerts that are issued related to, say, rain or snow, especially as we get later into the winter. Also, you can track anything that develops right from the palm of your hand. Interactive radar is there, and we have a loop of our radar, Connecticut's only live radar. We will be on the Wax in 20 and Channel 3 tonight at 11, so we hope you join us then. In the meantime, enjoy the milder day tomorrow. It does look like a slight improvement over where we've been.